This just in, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, says he was accidentally texted war plans.
Yeah, we literally just received this piece from The Atlantic, and in it, Goldberg writes, U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real. Then the bombs started falling.
Why is this a big deal? Well, former CIA director and former Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta appeared on CNN and made it very clear.
Well, it's obviously a very serious mistake on the part of whoever included Goldberg in this highly classified chain of command messaging that went on that involved war plans.
This story is crazy, and it's not just funny and weird, which it sort of is, but it has very serious, grave implications about security and, competence and, frankly, hypocrisy, right? If we are going to hold our elected leaders and the cabinet members to a very high standard and criticize those that came before them, then they are opening themselves to the same criticism. The title of the article is "The Trump Administration Accidentally Texted Me Its War Plans." Jeffrey Goldberg, who is a respected insider, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, and vocal Trump critic. On Thursday of last week, Jeffrey Goldberg, out of the blue, got a request to join a DM text on Signal, which is a encrypted private text messaging service that government officials and journalists often use so that their communications can't be dug up and found by people that they don't want them to be found, right? It's a more secure version. Now, Jeffrey Goldberg was relayed some skepticism, right? A lot of journalists get these sorts of requests from people who are looking to entrap you, like seems a little too good to be true because almost certainly it is, right? But he went with it. Michael Waltz, national security advisor, maybe he wants to be a source. What good journalist wouldn't sort of see how that plays out? So no big deal, right? And then later in the weekend, he gets invited to a group chat from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. And in that group chat of, I think there's 18 people in it, are a lot of heavy hitters, the heaviest of hitters, not Donald Trump, but Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Tulsi Gabbard, a lot of heavy hitters. And what follows is rather stunning. Again, Goldberg sort of expresses skepticism that this is sort of too good to be true. There's no way that they accidentally included a journalist on this high level of conversation. But what happens over the weekend is very detailed plans about how the Trump administration, the U.S. military, plans to bomb Houthi rebels in Yemen. Well, they're shared. And they are shared with him in a way that follows precisely.
Well, last week, Trump launched large-scale strikes against the Houthis in Yemen, killing at least 53 and injuring 98. Yemen's health ministry said that women and children were among the casualties, and Trump followed the bombing by warning Houthi rebels that they'll completely be annihilated.
To his credit, Goldberg didn't share any of the specific details that he learned in this article, nor did he share the names and identities of active members in the CIA, which was, the right thing to do. He doesn't want to jeopardize anyone's clearance or security. But it's stunning that he was accidentally included on high-level messaging.
This is just a serious blunder. And not only could violate the espionage laws, but more importantly, can undermine our national security.
First of all, Mike Waltz has got to be under a lot of scrutiny because not only did he make a mistake by including Jeffrey Goldberg on the Signal DM, but he then included him on a group chat that was designed for operational security and failed that fundamental test. President Trump, when he was under a ton of scrutiny for taking classified documents to Mar-a-Lago. Joe Biden also was found to be in possession of classified documents in his garage in Delaware. All of those were proven to be sort of potentially felonious because during his first administration, Trump said that anyone that sort of communicated or was found to have classified documents on a server, that was a felony. And that was the inspiration for that was, of course, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's private email server, which was found to have had documents, emails that were later proven to be classified. Well, guess what? If you are engaging a text chain Signal app, that means that somewhere there is classified information that's being held on a server. Will this get the same scrutiny that Hillary Clinton received, or Trump, or Biden? Well, it should, because this is insane. This is a bombshell that really raises huge questions about sort of core competence amongst those involved. There was a time before devices and smartphones that these sort of plans were made in a sort of secret chamber underneath the White House, right?
The way it would have worked in my time is that we would have met in the National Security chamber that's highly secure, located in the basement of the White House, that we would have had people there who'd been cleared. We would have known who was there, and we would have had that discussion in person.
To Goldberg's credit, like, he showed some bravery here. I don't know that if I were included on this, that I wouldn't simply raise my hand and say, fellas, you don't want me to be a part of this. This is national security. This is dangerous. But he didn't, and he didn't reveal who he was. No one on the text chain thought to say, like, who's the initials JG? Let's just clarify that. If we're going to share top secret military plans, let's make sure that we're buttoned up on who's receiving this. So sharing this sort of operational military plan, if that gets out, it literally could cause the death of U.S. military, right? This is something that is life or death. If Yemeni or Houthi rebels find out that they're about to be bombed and they know operationally how it's going to go down, they can prepare, and they can prepare a counterstrike that often is lethal, that could cause fatalities.
The last thing you want to do when you're talking about war plans is to have a serious leak like this that could undermine the war plans, but also jeopardize lives.
The accidental inclusion of Jeffrey Goldberg literally could have cost the lives of U.S. citizens, right? And what's interesting is this story broke at noon on Monday, Eastern Time. And in the first 2 hours, CNN was the only network to cover this. MSNBC, shockingly, hadn't touched it yet. Not surprisingly, Fox News hadn't touched it. I will say that in that part of that time, there was a Trump cabinet meeting. There was a press event with a post-Trump cabinet meeting in which they took questions. Shockingly, none of the assembled press asked them any questions about this insane, crazy story. The other thing that sort of was noteworthy to me is that when you see the text chain, these dudes are just like, testosterone-riddled college kids. There's a lot of like fist bump emojis and US flags, and these are dudes who are kind of hyped to be bombing people, right? The other thing that came out of this is that there was a thoughtful debate. J.D. Vance revealed that he was sort of cresting the break, was saying, like, I don't know if this is the right idea. We get no benefit from this operation. We're basically saving Europe's bacon again. Why don't we just wait it out? This can still be a thing 30 days from now. To which Hegseth said, sure, maybe, that's a good idea. However, we can wait. But, if it leaks that this gets out, oddly, it could be viewed as us waffling. And then it was Stephen Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff, who sort of dropped the bomb and said, I think it's clear from the president that he's greenlit this, let's do it. I think suggesting that the guy that has all the juice, the guy that's closest to President Trump of that assembled lot, Stephen Miller. Stunningly reptilian Stephen Miller, who every time he appears on cable news, pleases the president, but seems to raise eyebrows about people who are wondering, why is this dude so important in the Trump administration? But in this instance, Stephen Miller was the one that said, let's pause debate and let's proceed with bombing people. And so they did. What will be the repercussions of this?
That is a serious blunder. It has to be investigated, and somebody, frankly, needs to get fired.
Heads should roll. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz was the one who ostensibly dropped the bomb, right? He was the one that included Jeffrey Goldberg by accident, and Hegseth and others just assumed that, the National Security Advisor was doing National Security Advisor things and didn't think to check, like, are you sure there's no journalists on this text chain? This story just broke. I expect the media to jump all over it, with one noticeable exception. I don't expect Fox News to be covering this much, nor much of conservative media. Breitbart of the conservative realm had a story up early, and their take was Hegseth is looking into the security leak of this war plan. The call is coming from inside the House, Pete Hegseth. It's not an outside security threat or leak. it's your national security advisor who seems to have made a small but enormous mistake by adding Jeffrey Goldberg. If you want more videos like this, please click the like and subscribe button. I'm Mediaite founding editor Colby Hall. Thanks for watching.